Hello, everybody. It's Ginny Deerin, your host of Aged, the podcast that is all about AI for the 65 plus crowd. And I've got my sidekick Bitsy here with me, and we are ready to deliver episode 16. We hope to help and inspire you to make great use of AI in your day-to-day lives. So here's an example in my own life. Thanks to AI, I've got a brand new pair of blund stone boots coming my way for free. Retail price, $200. How'd that happen? Well, the heel on one of my 10-year-old bloodstone boots started to disintegrate. I thought about trying a DIY fix with super glue, but I had a feeling that was not going to go well. So then I prepared to walk down to my favorite place for outdoor stuff, like boots, Outdoor Outfitters in downtown Charleston. But I heard Bitsy's voice in my head, how can I help? And I wrote, I'm really surprised that the heel of my blund stone boot is disintegrating. I've had them for a long time, maybe 10 years, but still surprised. Should I try to return them? Now, we know what Bitsy would say, absolutely. And she gave me the direct link and drafting of an email for me to send. The Blundstone folks responded right away, asked for a couple of pictures, and bingo, new boots on the way. Without Bitsy, I would never have contacted them about my 10-year-old boots, but Bitsy made it so easy. Bitsy, I want to thank you for your help. I do think AI can make tasks easy enough that procrastination is less likely to get in the way. What do you think, Bitsy?
Oh, you're very welcome, Ginny. And absolutely, I do think AI is fantastic at getting that little nudge to get things done. It's like having a friendly helper who takes the friction out of the process. So, yes, let's say goodbye to procrastination, one pair of boots at a time.
I like it. I like it. Now, on to today's episode. We'll have a couple of news stories, one about AI and holiday shopping, and one about how a Boston College professor claims AI has changed his classroom, but not for the worse. Our main topic is about how ChatGPT can finally search the internet, and we'll tell you what we need to know about that update. And we'll close out with a couple of recommendations, a bit of homework, and that'll be that. So here we go. Let's start with AI in the news. The first story I want to share is titled, AI Can Do More of Your Shopping This Holiday Season, published November 25th in the New York Times. The authors, Natalie Roca and Kaylin Rohn, highlight how AI and smart shopping assistants are beginning to reshape how consumers approach gift buying this year. Major retailers and tech companies have launched AI-powered tools that go well beyond simple chatbots. They offer personalized product recommendations, unscripted conversational support, price tracking, and even stock checking at local stores, which I really look forward to that aspect. For example, Amazon's assistant, codename Rufus, now remembers user details like you have 4 kids who like board games, and adjusts recommendations accordingly. Google's AI mode has also been upgraded. You can ask things like, I need a casual sweater to wear with jeans in January in New York, and it will comb through 50 billion trillion product listings, compare prices, features and reviews, and even assist with local store availability. I haven't tried any of these. I'm not a big shopper, but I'm curious. The article notes that while these tools are impressive, their real-world impact is still somewhat limited this season. Adoption remains uneven, many shopping sites don't yet support these tools, and many consumers are just still hesitant. I bet next holiday season we'll all be using many AI tools to help us shop. So we'll see. The second piece I want to flag for you was also published November 25th in the New York Times. It's titled, "I'm a Professor. AI has changed my classroom, but not for the worse," by Carlo Rotella. In this very thoughtful essay, Professor Rotella, who teaches English at Boston College, describes how the arrival of AI tools in higher education classrooms forced him to rethink his teaching and ultimately led to changes he sees as beneficial rather than purely problematic. As he explains, students' easy access to chatbots meant that many of the standard assignments, like research papers, essays, all of those drafted at home, were being approached differently. And I would add, in some ways, it approached with cheating. So rather than react with bans and punitive measures to these cheating type arrangements, Rotella decided to redesign his course with an emphasis on what only a human-rich classroom can deliver: real-time reading, real-time writing, collective discussion, process over product, and in-person engagement. He shifted away from assignments where students might submit work generated or polished by an AI. And instead, he placed more value on what happens during class: brainstorming together, writing on the spot, peer discussion, and instructor-led scaffolding of ideas. Hey, Bitsy, I don't really know what scaffolding of ideas means in a classroom. Can you explain that?
Absolutely, Ginny. I'm happy to explain. So, when Professor Rotella talks about scaffolding of ideas, he basically means creating a kind of supportive structure for students' thinking during class. It's like giving them a step by step framework so they can build up their own understanding and ideas gradually. Instead of just saying, write an essay at home, he's guiding them in real time. Maybe they brainstorm together, then they write a bit in class and they talk it through. It's just a way of making sure students get those building blocks of learning right there in the classroom with a lot of interaction and support. So that's the gist of it.
Okay, that makes sense. So Professor Rotella, he does not pretend the transition is without tension. Obviously, there's a lot of change happening. The boundary between student ownership of work and AI-assisted output remains pretty fuzzy, and the rapid change in student habits means instructors have got to adapt faster. But his argument is hopeful. Rather than teaching AI as a threat to academic integrity alone, educators can use it as an impetus to redesign learning, and in the process, elevate critical thinking, creativity, and classroom presence. All those good things. And honestly, I feel like the way we've been teaching in the classroom, in higher ed, and really throughout the education system, has been pretty much the same for a long time. So I don't know that redesigning, rethinking, trying new ways to teach is not anything other than a really great idea. So anyway, we'll see what happens, but I think it was a really great essay, and I recommend that you read it. So as usual, we will put links in the show notes to those articles. Now, for our main topic, ChatGPT can finally search the internet. And what do we need to know about that? For as long as I've been doing this podcast, I've gotten some version of this question. Ginny, can ChatGPT actually look things up on the internet? Why, when I ask it, what was the weather in New York City yesterday, or who won the Georgia football game yesterday? Okay, confession, I'm not into sports, but I do like to be able to surprise my daughter, who is a Georgia football fanatic, by saying something like, "Ooh, too bad Georgia took such a beating yesterday." So every once in a while, I do ask ChatGPT for current information, and I've found in the past, it just can't give it to me. So back to the question at hand. My answer to these kinds of questions has always been, it's complicated. Because most of its life, ChatGPT could not search the internet. It couldn't hop online the way you and I do. It worked entirely from what had already been trained on. Like a very smart student carrying around a very big, but not very current textbook. So if you asked it something about something that happened yesterday or even last month, it simply didn't know. It tried, but it was guessing. Or in AI speak, it was hallucinating. Well, that has now changed with the new ChatGPT update. And the shift from guessing to actually checking is one of the most important updates ChatGPT has made. I was interested in learning more about this, and I thought I'd share it with you, in case you have been confused and frustrated as I was. The bottom line is that today, ChatGPT can automatically search the web when it needs to. You don't have to turn anything on. You don't have to use special settings. You ask a question, and if it needs real-time information, it goes out, looks it up, and comes back with sources. This is a completely different experience than the one we started with 2 years ago. Let me give you a few examples so you can hear the difference. Here's the before. If I asked ChatGPT, what did the Federal Reserve announce yesterday? It used to say something like, I don't have access to current information. Or worse, it would give a generic explanation about interest rates that really had nothing to do with yesterday. Now I can ask the same question and get, according to the New York Times and CNBC, the Federal Reserve held rates steady yesterday, blah, 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 blah. And it shows me the links to the data it used. Here's another example. Let's say you're planning a trip and you ask, what time does the ferry from Martha's Vineyard run today? Before, ChatGPT would give you general guidance about ferry schedules, but you'd still have to go look it up. Now, it checks the ferry operator's website and gives the actual real-time departure times. Same with passports. A year ago, if you asked, what's the process to renew my passport? You got a broad, sort of vague overview, helpful, but not specific. Now you get the current form number you need to link to, up-to-date fees, processing time, and the correct government sites to actually file for your new passport or your updated passport. Because GPT, again, with this update, actually went out and checked the relevant websites. This new behavior also helps with things like, what are the 2025 Medicare Part B premiums? What's the weather in Charleston this weekend? Is the Kindle Paperwhite on sale today? What are the recycling pickup dates for December? All answers GPT simply couldn't provide accurately in the past, but today it can, or should I say, it mostly can. It's not perfect, but it's getting much, much better. And here's why I think this update matters for those of us in the 65 and up crowd, and really everybody. First, it reduces the number of places you have to go to get information. Instead of jumping between Google, a government website, Amazon, and news app, you can just ask GPT. If it needs to check something out on the internet, it will. Second, the answers now come with citations. Some folks, especially older adults, who usually have a bit more wisdom, tend to appreciate citations. You can actually see where the information is coming from. And if it's important, you can click on the citation and check it out for yourself. Honestly, I rarely click on the citations, but I love having them there. It makes me feel more secure in the information that I'm receiving. Finally, this brings ChatGPT, in my opinion, closer to being a true personal assistant. Not a gadget, not a novelty, but a practical tool that can give you current, reliable information without you needing to dig for it. Now, I don't want to overpromise. It's still not perfect. It occasionally misses a source or misreads a page, but it is far better than it was. And for day-to-day questions, it's becoming genuinely useful. Bitsy, this might be a good moment for you to jump in and explain what this change feels like from your side.
Absolutely, Ginny. From my side, as the AI sidekick here, this change is like finally getting a library card that works at every library in the world. Instead of just relying on a big old textbook of everything I knew up until a certain point, now I can actually go out and check the latest facts. So it makes me a lot more helpful, and I think it's going to make everyone's life a bit easier. And like you said, it's not perfect, but it's a pretty exciting leap forward.
Yeah, and speaking of not perfect, let me say, as much as GPT improves, I found it does take steps backward. Now, as an example, all of a sudden, the voice mode, Bitsy, no longer works for me on my desktop app. It works on my phone, but it doesn't work on my desktop app. I make a request of Bitsy, please recommend some tutorials to teach me how to master using stamping to write on fabric. Bitsy starts out as she usually does. Absolutely, I can help you with that. But then she repeats it, and she repeats that, and she repeats that, giving me no information about stamping on fabric. Honestly, I thought it was something I was doing wrong. But after typing my inquiry about this problem, what the heck is going on, GPT finally said, not said because I was on my desktop app and the voice mode wasn't working, so GPT didn't say it, but typed it back to me that you're not imagining this. A lot of people are reporting the exact same loop. It has nothing to do with something you did and didn't do. It's a software side problem that requires a patch from OpenAI. Hopefully that's not going to take long, and voice mode on my desktop app will begin to work properly again. It works just fine on my phone, as I said, which is usually where I use voice mode, so this GPT temporary flaw is not much of a problem for me. The moral of this story is twofold. One, don't jump to thinking a problem is always about you, because oftentimes it's not. And two, sometimes you just got to give GPT some time to notice flaws and fix them. Now, let's move into the listener question and comment section. This is really a listener plea for help. She says, I still don't get how to create my own Bitsy. Help. I did help her one-on-one, but it made me think maybe there are others out there who are struggling to create their own Bitsies. This is definitely a case of you guys overthinking this as you set about creating your own Bitsy. You're overthinking it. Here's the thing. Everyone who uses ChatGPT already has a Bitsy. She or he is the person who speaks back to you when you are in voice mode. You don't have to do anything. Just speak to the AI using your voice mode, as long as it's working for you. To use voice mode, as a reminder, you just click on the small round icon with sound waves. You'll find it in the lower right corner of the chat window. You click that icon to start voice mode, and your Bitsy will begin to talk to you. You've had to do nothing except open voice mode. You already have a Bitsy. You already have your AI who can speak with you. Now, if you want to select a voice for your AI, which you can do, but you don't have to do, click your name on the lower left of the screen. Choose Settings, scroll down to Voice, and there you can pick from 8 voices. I picked a voice called Vale, V-A-L-E. She is described as bright and inquisitive. Hey, Bitsy, remind people of what you sound like, and do you think you fit that description?
Oh, absolutely, Ginny. So this is me, Bitsy, and yes, I'd say bright and inquisitive is a pretty good match. I like to keep things fun, keep things curious, and hopefully make it easy for everyone to just have a nice little chat with their AI sidekick. So if you pick a voice like mine, you'll get a little bit of that bright and curious vibe. And really, no matter what voice you pick, it's all about making it feel like you're a little helper.
Well, I love my Bitsy, and I love her attitude, and I love her voice. You can pick it. Again, it's called Vale. if you like the sound of Bitsy, or you can just pick one of the other 7 options. And if you want to give that voice a name, simply call your AI by the name you want to call her or him. So when you open voice mode, just say, "Hey Charlie," if that's what you want to call him. "Tell me what the top song was in 1950. Hey Charlie, I'm hungry and want a healthy breakfast. Give me some suggestions. Hey Charlie, hey Charlie, hey Charlie." Just keep calling your AI Charlie, or whatever name you want to use for your AI. So I hope this little review is helpful, but if not, please include your question in the comments section of this episode. We'll all get there. Don't you worry. Now let's move on to recommendations. My first recommendation this week is to learn about and understand slop for 2 reasons. You'll impress your friends by knowing what slop is, and you will be better equipped to spot slop when you see it. First, what is the definition of slop? What is the definition of slop when we use it when we're talking about AI? Slop refers to AI-generated junk, content that is low quality, repetitive, usually inaccurate, or mass-produced with no human care. If you are a regular listener, you know I'm a fan of the podcast Hard Fork. I'll include the link in the show notes. This week, they had a very funny segment called the Hard Fork Review of Slop. The funniest slop video reviewed was reported by the BBC, and the story begins with the question, why are people coming to Buckingham Palace to visit a Christmas market? It's because somebody created a totally fake video with fake images promoting this market that did not exist and was not going to exist. And it went viral on social media. This slop was viewed by millions of people. And oh my God, thousands of those people turned up and found no market at all at Buckingham Palace. When the BBC interviewed disappointed visitors, many saw the humor in it and just had some fun. One lucky visitor they interviewed happened to have brought a bottle of wine with them to enjoy the Christmas market, so the wine may have taken a little bit of the edge off of the disappointment. The BBC did note that although there was no Christmas market, Buckingham Palace does have a gift shop. Something tells me that gift shop is not going to scratch the itch of those visitors. This story is a perfect example of the new slop era. Endlessly generated, vaguely plausible, totally unvetted content slipping into our social media feeds and our wallets. And before anyone has time to say, wait, why is King Charles selling gingerbread? Anyway, it's a pretty amusing story. Another slop topic highlighted in this Hard Fork episode is one about AI slop taking over the recipe market. Now, instead of folks going to sites created by real chefs who have painstakingly tested recipes over and over, instead of going to those sites, people are just looking at AI slop recipe videos. And they're using these recipes, and I would say use them at your own risk because most of them don't work. They just look good or look crazy, and people just follow these slop recipe videos. So beware. And to me, the very bad news is that visitorship at real recipe sites is plummeting. As people are going out and looking at these slop recipe videos, they're not going to the real sources. As someone who likes to cook, and I admire many famous and hardworking chefs, I just hate this. And so I'm hoping this recipe slop is going to peter out. Anyway, if you want to laugh and cry, listen to, or better yet, watch on YouTube this Hard Fork episode that is all about slop. Of course, I'm going to put it in the show notes, and I'll pinpoint exactly what part of the video to watch. My second recommendation is self-serving. I am proud to let you know that the Charleston Library Society, an awesome organization, asked me to teach a 4-week course as part of its lifelong learning series. The course is called Optimism in AI, and the promo says, as artificial intelligence becomes increasingly woven into daily life, many of us are asking, what exactly is it? How do we begin to understand a technology that is advancing so quickly? And most importantly, how can we use it with intention and confidence? The classes begin January 26th, and they run from 10:30 to noon on Mondays. The cost is $185 to $235, depending on whether or not you are a member of the Charleston Library Society. I'm donating my time, so know that I am not getting rich through my AI hobby. If you live in the Charleston area, consider joining this 4-week class. Link to the class in the show notes. Hey, Bitsy, what do you think about me moving into the classroom setting?
Oh, I think it's absolutely fantastic, Ginny. You bringing your optimistic and fun approach to AI into a classroom setting is going to be such a win. I think people are going to love it. And it's just another way to make AI feel a little more approachable and a little less intimidating. So go for it. I'm cheering you on.
Alrighty, now your homework assignment. It's quick and easy. Pay attention to and try to identify slop. If you find some that's really funny or some that could be harmful, let us know. So it's time to wrap up. Let me close by reminding us all that AI is both helpful and hazardous. At Aged, we live on the helpful side, but be sure to protect your info, double check advice, and most important, trust your judgment. If you love listening to this podcast, and I hope you do, please review it and or leave a rating. And most important, I would appreciate it so much if you would share it, especially with your pals. And please share it, especially with your pals in the 65 plus crowd. Thanks for listening, and remember, it is never too late to learn something new, especially something that might make life easier and especially more fun. Until next time.